If you look at the financials of the artificial intelligence world,
Come take a look at this.
there is one undisputed king, Nvidia. Their H100 and Blackwell chips are basically the currency of the future. Every major tech company in Silicon Valley, from Microsoft to OpenAI, is fighting tooth and nail just to get their hands on a few thousand of them. They are the gold standard. In a pure performance fight, nothing else comes close. But then you look at China. Despite being the second largest economy in the world and having a massive appetite for AI, Chinese tech giants are quietly doing something that seems completely counterintuitive. They are starting to say no to the simplified versions of Nvidia chips they are legally allowed to buy. Instead, Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu are spending billions pivoting toward local, domestic chips that, on paper, simply aren't as fast. Why would they do that? Why would a country obsessed with speed and efficiency voluntarily choose slower hardware? The easy answer is sanctions. But that is barely scratching the surface. The real story isn't about computer specs or benchmark scores. It's about a massive, high-stakes gamble to build a parallel universe of technology that cannot be turned off by a switch in Washington, D.C. It is a story about survival, rewriting the rules of the global economy, and a specific type of silicon that has become more valuable than oil. And to understand why this shift is happening right now, in late 2025, we have to look at the moment the supply chain was weaponized.
For decades, the global tech industry operated on a simple premise. You buy the best product for the best price, regardless of where it comes from. Globalization meant that a startup in Beijing could buy the same processors as a startup in San Francisco. That era is dead. It was killed in October 2022 and buried throughout 2023 and 2024. When the US Department of Commerce dropped sweeping export controls, the goal was explicit: to freeze China's AI development in place. The US government identified high-end AI chips not just as commercial products, but as dual-use military assets. They reasoned that the same chip used to train a chatbot can be used to design hypersonic missiles or cyber warfare tools. So, the ban hammer came down. Nvidia was barred from selling its flagship chips, like the A100 and H100, to China. Now, Nvidia, being a capitalist enterprise, didn't want to lose one of its biggest markets, so they initially created cut-down versions, the A800 and H800, that skirted just below the legal performance limits. For a while, Chinese companies bought these up, but then the US tightened the screws again, banning even those watered-down chips. This sent a shockwave through the boardrooms of Shenzhen and Beijing. It wasn't just about losing access to a specific product. It was a realization that the supply chain had become a geopolitical weapon. Chinese tech leaders realized that relying on Nvidia was like building a skyscraper on land that someone else could repossess at any moment. Even if they could get permission to buy a downgraded American chip today, the license could be revoked tomorrow. The realization was stark. We cannot build our future on rented land. This forced a shift in mindset. The priority moved from performance at all costs to security at all costs. They stopped asking, which chip is the fastest, and started asking, which chip can we actually guarantee will show up at the loading dock next month? But identifying the problem is easy. Solving it is incredibly hard. And to see how China planned to fix this massive vulnerability, we have to look at a controversial industrial master plan that the West has been worrying about for a decade.
Long before the chip ban started, Beijing had drafted a roadmap known as Made in China 2025. The core idea was simple. China wanted to stop being the world's factory for cheap plastic goods and start being the world's architect for high-tech innovation. For years, critics dismissed this as ambitious rhetoric. But when the chip sanctions hit, Made in China 2025 stopped being a slogan and became a survival manual. The Chinese government views AI as the electricity of the 21st century. It is the foundation of their military modernization, their surveillance infrastructure, and their economic growth. If the US controls the chips, the US controls the switch. This created a national security imperative. The logic goes like this. If you are building a nuclear power plant, you don't use software that a foreign adversary can update remotely. Similarly, if you are building the AI that will run your national power grid, your financial markets, and your defense systems, you cannot run it on hardware that requires a license from the Pentagon to purchase. This triggered a massive mobilization of state capital. We are talking about government-backed guidance funds pouring hundreds of billions of yuan into the semiconductor sector. The message to companies like Huawei, Alibaba, and Baidu changed. It was no longer make the most profit. It became secure the supply chain. This effectively killed the globalist approach to tech in China. The goal is now technological decoupling. they are actively embracing the split. They want to create a localized loop where the chip is designed in Shanghai, manufactured in Beijing, and installed in a server in Guizhou, without a single piece of American intellectual property touching the process. It sounds like a perfect plan on paper, but strategy doesn't process data. Silicon does. And for this plan to work, China needed a champion, a company that had already survived a US attempt to destroy it. Enter Huawei. A few years ago, the US effectively crippled Huawei's smartphone business by cutting off their access to 5G chips. Most companies would have folded. Huawei didn't. They went into battle mode, diversifying their supply chains and hoarding resources. And out of that pressure cooker came the Ascend series of AI chips, specifically the Ascend 910B. Right now, this is the main protagonist in China's AI story. Is it better than Nvidia's bleeding-edge H100? No. In raw theoretical performance, Nvidia still holds the crown, especially for training the absolutely massive models like GPT-4. But here is the catch. The Ascend 910B is comparable to the Nvidia A100, which is the previous generation's workhorse. And for 90% of AI tasks, like enterprise data analysis, facial recognition, and factory automation, the 910B is perfectly capable. This birthed the good enough paradigm. Chinese companies realized they don't always need the Ferrari. Sometimes a reliable tank is better. The Ascend 910B has shown it can handle large language model training, maybe just taking a bit longer or requiring more power optimization. But crucially, Huawei can actually deliver them. Other players have jumped in too. You have companies like Biren Technology and More Threads. They are designing chips that look remarkably competitive. Biren's BR100, for example, broke records in domestic benchmarks. The narrative in China has shifted from "our chips are inferior" to "our chips are available, they are secure, and they are ours." For a Chinese data center manager, the choice is now between a restricted, overpriced, gray market Nvidia chip with no warranty, or a domestic Huawei chip with full government support and engineers ready to help you optimize it. It's becoming a no-brainer. However, anyone who works in tech knows that hardware is only half the battle. You can have the best chip in the world, but if it doesn't speak the right language, it's just a glorified paperweight. And that brings us to the biggest moat Nvidia has ever built. If you ask an AI engineer why they love Nvidia, they won't talk about transistors or heat dissipation. They will say one word: CUDA. CUDA is the software platform that Nvidia developed almost 2 decades ago. It allows developers to talk to the GPU. Over the years, it has become the standard language of AI. Every major AI library, PyTorch, TensorFlow, is optimized for CUDA. It is a massive, invisible wall that keeps competitors out because switching away from CUDA means rewriting millions of lines of code. This was supposed to be the checkmate. The US assumed that even if China built a chip, they couldn't build the software ecosystem to run it. But China is attacking this problem with brute force. Huawei introduced CAN, Compute Architecture for Neural Networks, and a framework called MindSpore. They are essentially trying to build a parallel universe to CUDA. Is it as polished as Nvidia's software? Not yet. It's clunky, it has bugs, and developers complain about it. But remember the national security imperative?
I remember.
The Chinese government and major tech firms are forcing the issue. They are paying developers to learn this new system. Universities are teaching it. There is a massive push for integrated solutions. Instead of just selling a raw chip, Chinese companies sell the hardware, the cloud platform, and the software framework all in one box. It's like Apple's walled garden. If you stay inside the Huawei ecosystem, everything works together seamlessly. By making the hardware and software strictly domestic, they are creating a stickiness that is hard to break. Once a Chinese startup builds their AI on MindSpore, they are locked in. They aren't going back to Nvidia. But rewriting the entire history of computer science costs an astronomical amount of money. Who is paying for this? The answer leads us to an economic gamble that is reshaping global trade. We have to talk about the economics of this. Building a semiconductor industry from scratch is arguably the most expensive project humanity can undertake. A single fabrication plant costs $20 billion. But China isn't looking at the price tag. They are looking at the ROI, return on investment, in terms of sovereignty and future exports. First, the domestic market. China has the largest population of internet users in the world. The internal demand for AI, for smart cities, autonomous driving, and automated manufacturing is enough to sustain these domestic chip companies even if they never sell a single chip to America. They have a built-in customer base that is being steered by government policy to buy local. Second, the talent war. By pouring money into this sector, China is creating millions of high-paying jobs for engineers, physicists, and mathematicians. This prevents brain drain. Instead of moving to Silicon Valley to work for Google, China's brightest minds are staying in Shenzhen to work for Huawei or Biren. And third, the export potential. This is the part that scares Western policymakers. Right now, China is focused on supplying itself. But give it 5 or 10 years. If they perfect these good enough, cost-effective AI chips, who else might want them? The Global South. Countries in Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America who might be priced out of ultra-premium Nvidia hardware. China could eventually offer a sovereign AI in a box package to developing nations. Cheap, reliable, and free from Western sanctions. It is a strategy to build a second pole in the global technology order. But despite all this money and planning, there is one major physical hurdle that China has not solved yet. It is a machine the size of a bus, made in the Netherlands, that is currently the only thing standing between China and total dominance. This whole plan, the chips, the software, the economy, hinges on the ability to actually manufacture the silicon. And this is where the US sanctions have hit the hardest. To make the absolute best chips, the 5 nanometer and 3 nanometer nodes, you need a machine called an EUV, Extreme Ultraviolet Lithography Scanner. They are made by one company in the world, ASML in the Netherlands. And the US has successfully blocked ASML from selling these machines to China. This is a hard physics limit. Without EUV, you simply cannot make the most advanced chips efficiently.
You can't.
So how is China surviving? They are hacking the process. China's leading foundry, SMIC, is using older DUV, deep ultraviolet machines, and pushing them to their absolute breaking point. They are using a technique called multi-patterning, where you expose the silicon multiple times to etch finer details. It is expensive. It is slower. It results in more defective chips, lower yields. But it works. It allowed Huawei to shock the world with the Mate 60 Pro smartphone and their recent AI chips. They are trading efficiency for capability. They are willing to pay more per chip just to have the chip exist. Simultaneously, China is frantically trying to build its own lithography machines. It is a moonshot project that might take a decade, but if they succeed, the last leverage point the West has will vanish. So here is the truth behind China's choice of local AI chips over Nvidia. It isn't a choice born of arrogance, and it isn't a choice born of preference. It is a calculated, strategic retreat from a global system they no longer trust. The US sanctions were designed to slow China down, and in the short term, they have. Chinese AI development is more expensive and slightly slower than it would be if they had access to thousands of Nvidia H100s. But in the long term, the sanctions forced China to do the one thing the US probably didn't want, to build a completely independent parallel supply chain. By cutting them off, the West forced China to learn how to fish. They are accepting short-term pain for long-term immunity. They are building a world where their technological progress is no longer determined by a vote in Congress or a license from the Department of Commerce. Whether their local chips will ever truly match Nvidia in raw power remains to be seen. But for China, the goal isn't just to be the fastest. The goal is to be the last one standing on their own 2 feet. Thanks for watching.